Hello, this is Reverend Bill, and today is a lovely Thursday, May 15th, here in the Atlanta area. It's about 85 degrees, so we can put our snowmobiles away and our snow shovels away. Um, it's been a bitterly ice cold, tundry winter here in Atlanta. I think we have a total of a quarter of an inch of snow all year long. So we've been bundled up, um, and we're settling in for a nice warm summer. Celtics don't look all that good though, huh? They did come back last night, but Jason Tatum is lost for the playoffs, and we'll see what happens. He's gone at least for the playoffs the next year. Hopefully, he'll be back the following year. But he's young, and we still got a good team. If we want to compete next year, we're going to have to make a change or two. Um, but who knows? It's fun to find out and to watch. Anyway, today I thought we were going to do a just kind of like I had some thoughts, and it actually is going to spill over into both categories. As you know, I generally use my awakenings for spiritual and my general one for mostly movies and reviews, but for general stuff. And this certainly does cover both. I'm not as you guys know, I'm not really one of those naysayers. I don't walk around with, the end is nigh and all that kind of stuff. I like to think I'm more or less a pretty optimistic kind of guy for the most part. But, I was driving down thinking about things. I've got a lot more time on my hands now to think about things. And, it's kind of interesting. You're at a young age and they throw a lot of stuff at you. You're very busy learning about the world, and they throw religion at you and they throw subjects. And, then when you're finally getting a grasp of what's going on, they throw you into school. And then depending on your school system, I was all the Baltimore Catechism, which, by the way, I actually should probably review the Baltimore Catechism someday. It's not all bad. I think actually for children especially, it's quite good. But anyway, and you get older and more religion, and then you got if you're a Catholic, good Catholic boy like me, you were Holy Communion and penance and confirmation and more learning and fractions, blah 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 blah. Then you go to high school, and then God forbid, then you discover girls and friends, and you get a little older, you go to college, then then you discover girls again, and beer and sports and parties and all good kinds of stuff, and then more studying, and then jobs and careers and marriage and children, then work and work and more work. You don't ever get a chance to sit down and kind of go through things in life and just kind of analyze things. If you're fortunate, and I'm 60, um, and I'm finally getting a chance to kind of sit down and just process it after all these years. And a lot of people, I guess, don't. But anyway, I'm going to kind of going over this a long way, but I'm getting a lot of time to think about things. I never really have before, believe it or not. It's kind of sad, but I'm kind of going through things and processing, and I'm surprised at a lot of things. People are getting all upset about, oh, he called this name or that name, or he's what do they call it now when if you call him by a name they don't like, or he's dead naming me, or he's unaliving. I don't know, all this kind of crazy stuff kids have. There's a lot more going on with this world that I'm concerned about. And again, I'm not a naysayer, but I cannot ignore what's going on around me. Just driving around. I mean, let me just kind of go over some things here. And I'm not around looking for things. There's things all around us, and no one's paying attention to them. All right, look, we had the pandemic, but the pandemic has had some really long-lasting, maybe permanent effects on us. You go on the highway and you decide that you want to go to the restaurant, which is something we all do, right? Nowadays, if you pull off, there's a good chance you pull off to a Burger King, McDonald's, or Chick Fil A. You're not getting in because all the dining rooms are closed because they realized they don't need dining room people because they save money if they close the dining room. And now, voila, you turned Burger King now into a drive-through, which I can attest because we got a new Sonic wall and a new Whataburger. I don't know. I'm not a fast food person, by the way. So if I misname some of these things, laugh at the old man all you want. But I think the last time I had fast food, well, it was probably during the pandemic. Before that, probably in high school. And I did say I'm 60. All right, let's move on. Um, so yeah, so dining room area, they're realizing they can save. I worked fast food. I worked a lot of things. Those of you who work fast food, you know what I'm talking about the food costs and yields. And their food costs are probably plummeting now because they don't need dining people to throw away a tray. Well, they don't throw it away. Although some people do. If you work fast food, you know what I'm talking about. Anyway, hey, I should tell you I got a lot of stories I could tell you. Actually, the sort of story that I had to run an entire lunch at a fast food restaurant. I won't name the name. I don't want to get any lawsuits going. But a situation happened. I had to run a fast food lunch all by myself. Everything, drive through, cooking. Oh my God, what a nightmare. That's a good story I'll tell you about sometime. Anyway, where was I going? Yeah, so they know they can save probably money with food costs. What else? Now, there was, when I was getting older, by the way, this is going to go over 10 minutes. I'm sorry, but I'm due. I got a lot of good stuff here. Uh, when I was in theater, they opened a Silver City Galleria in Taunton, Mass. I was actually kind of a big part of helping that get going. And I helped open that. And that was a brand new movie theater. And that was about 1993, which is a baby for a movie theater and for a galleria, a huge galleria. Oh my goodness, it would knock your socks off. 1993. I heard a few years ago they closed it. And this thing was huge. It's from the Boston area, biggest Boston area gallery that I knew. I'm not saying it's the biggest, so don't challenge me. I'm saying it's the biggest I knew, which is probably pretty small. But I've been around the world a little bit, but I mean it was pretty big and it was new. And for open in '93, and I don't know when it closed, but I've been here now for uh, yeah, I would say I've been here for about 4 years, and it's been closed for for a few years. I would imagine. Let's just say they closed it in 22. Right? It's very close. So 93. What's that? 30 years or so. That's a baby for a mall. It was beast, and they closed it. People don't want to go out anymore. People want to just stay home and just talk on their phones or their whatever laptops. Some of you who may not be my age may not know this, but gas self-serving pumps was unheard of when I was growing up. As a matter of fact, I want to say gas self-serve pumps might have been a way of self-survival because gas station pump attendants at one point had to restrict pumping gas if you had anything more than like half a tank or a quarter of a tank. I don't remember. It was so long ago. But gas attendants were told to stick their head in the car to look at gas, and they're like, "We're not sticking our head in the car." And I couldn't possibly imagine it. They weren't going to do it in 1972. I don't see them doing it now. Anyway, there was a push back years later that went around 10, 15 years. Gas stations were putting up signs saying, uh, if you don't do your repairs here, don't come here for your gas. Because they're like, which I understand. If you want to save 5 cents by having yourself pump your gas, well, why don't you go change out your transmission too? I mean, it's like that's our bread and butter. Gas is our bread and butter. Don't ask us to change your engine if you're not going to have a pump of your gas. It's costing us food on the table. I understand that. Anyway, moving along. The point is, what seems to be impossible, the way things disappear, they happen all the time. So if what I'm saying to you seems ridiculous, it happens. It happens. Blockbuster Video, really, it happens. Redbox, it happens. Major Video. These are companies that were in top one time. I was in networking, Novell. Those of you who were in computers back in the '90s know what I'm talking about. Novell was unbeatable. It was king. Now where is it? I'm not even sure it exists anymore. Happens all the time. Um, no touch deliveries. I think the world just wants to separate each other. No touch deliveries. Again, people have started to separate. They do not want to date. They do not want to touch. They do not want to work next to each other. They want to work remotely. We are becoming a very antisocial society. Supermarkets, they have all self serve markets. What happened the other day? I went into the supermarket. Don't know why. I don't care. But all the self service kiosks were down. Don't know why. Don't care. Didn't ask. There were four people with baskets. Four people with food baskets were not full. Two cashiers were losing their minds. They were just swamped. They didn't know how to deal with it. They weren't used to having customers. As a matter of fact, a week or so ago, I was in a place. I had to go to a cashier. It was something like the order might have come to, I don't know, 5, 15, and I might have given, 6 and a quarter. And he was stumped. I had to tell him how much change I had to get back. He couldn't do that in his head. I worked in a theater when I was younger. I'm sure you guys heard that. If I probably mentioned it. I worked many years in a movie theater, and we didn't have cash boxes. We had to do everything in our head. Concession stand. We didn't have time to cashier and forget about calculators. I had two goobers and three medium sodas. Used to boom. Okay, that's eight 25. I don't know what it was back then, but I mean, you had to do. I wouldn't want kids to try to add things nowadays. Forget about it. Forget about it. You couldn't do it. And I'm not bragging. I don't want to sound like your old grandfather, but people are becoming completely useless, and don't want people touching them. I was watching a show the other day, and my generation was very very open, and when my generation and the younger generation here talk, it's kind of at times it's strange to watch, because what was it, this woman was talking to this man, and I don't know, he said something to her and she didn't hear him, and he got it. It's just a conflict of the generations. He's like, what did he say? He said something like, he said, and she goes, I didn't hear you. And he's like, oh, honey, I'm sorry. And he put his hand on her and called her honey. He goes, oh, I'm sorry, honey. What'd you say? And she goes, I'm not your honey, and you touched my personal space. He'll just be nice. I mean, she just freaked because he called her honey and he touched her. I mean, it's really difficult nowadays. People just want to isolate themselves. Anyway, getting back to what I was saying, supermarkets cannot operate right now without self-serve. To, Theaters, my bread and butter when I was younger. You go in, there's nobody in there. You go in there, I guess they told me they don't have projectors anymore. I used to be a projectionist licensed. I have no idea what they use anymore. I would imagine it's some kind of VCR up there, but the projectors in the old days, they were complicated. You couldn't rewind them. The bulbs were explosive. They were very complicated. I don't know what they use nowadays, but I was actually a licensed projector. As far as bartenders, what do you really think there's going to be bartenders in 10 years from now? You don't think it's going to go in and just like, swipe your card and press a button and get a drink? I wouldn't feel really good if I was a bartender. How about OnlyFans models? Okay, these women that are jealous because their boyfriends breaking up with them, going to OnlyFans models. You really think OnlyFans models are going to be around in a few years? Wait till AI takes off, and you can program your own woman. You can program her with your own personality. You're not going to want to need a woman anymore, or a girlfriend, which is fine, because girlfriends now are told by society they don't need men. They don't even need men for anything. They can just get a baby too if they want one, and now they can just even order one, so you don't even need a relationship. Doesn't matter the fact you can't afford a house anymore or that you can't afford school anymore, but that's okay because they go to school. You're going to end up with majors like gender studies of North Pacific Arctic regions. You can't get a job with that. Well, that's okay. There's no jobs to get. AI does everything. I suppose you could do police work or you could do fire work, but that's okay because they've probably got fire systems rigged in buildings that most fires will go out on their own anyway. Probably alarm systems that police work will probably be pretty much not done too. What else we got? I mean, seriously, if you think I'm being wrong with any of these projections, you go right ahead telling me. Shoplifting is killing stores. They're losing money. They're closing stores now, and that's now. What about 10 years? They're going to close stores up because shoplifting is making them non-profitable. They want to close them up now. They're just not allowed to because they're saying if you close up, ghettos won't have stores now. They'll say, well, ghetto people can't have stores because they're a low income and they're stealing. And they're stealing, then the moms and pops in those ghetto areas, they're not going to be able to walk to the store and get anything, but we're stuck because, we're opening stores to lose money. What are we going to do? I don't know. Self-driving cars are going to be around pretty soon. You think they're going to be any Uber drivers or any taxi drivers? Nope, I don't think so. Cars are practically, the driving jobs are practically gone. We know it's going to be around. Plumbing jobs are going to be around. Carpentry jobs are going to be around. HVAC, roofing, landscaping, those will be around. Elite jobs in medical. I said elite. Okay. I don't think there'll be a lot of nursing jobs. I don't think there'll be a lot of emergency care, which is useless anyway. I would never go to emergency care. They'll just send you a doctor. Um, I suppose legal. There'll be elite legal business. I suppose my old business, um, security, engineering. There'll always be people trying to break into businesses and steal money. I do not think help desk will be around. I do not think any low level technical skill jobs will be around. There'll be a lot of remote possibilities for low level assistance, but there will not be a lot of jobs. There might be one person covering an office or two, which would be sufficient. With remote work, you won't need a lot of people. I mean, politicians, unfortunately, will still be around, I would think. But I mean, I don't really see a lot of jobs. I mean, you don't even think about traffic cops anymore because you got traffic lights. Well, that happened years ago, and no one even thinks about traffic cops now unless they have them, and then they're going to block up traffic. But anyway, so I'm just saying, I don't know where this world's going. I know God exists. I know I can trust in God, um, but I don't know. I think we're going to have to probably come to a. I'll probably be dead, so I won't have to see it. But I'm thinking that we're going to have to look for an economy. AOC might have to get her way. She said that we're going to need an economy when no one has to work. It might. What do they say about if you get enough monkeys banging away on enough typewriters, sooner or later one will knock out the Declaration of Independence? Well, that's what we might have here. We get enough monkeys talking. One of these monkeys, in this case AOC, might have actually said something that makes sense. Because I don't see how this economy is going to survive. Um, original things, inventions will be obviously be around for inventors. I think anything like inventions. I think any architecture will be welcome. I think any designs, anything original. I think anything original. But as far as things that have already been invented, if you're talking about just a duplication of efforts, making cars, I think will be pretty much all automated very soon. I just don't see a lot of work when it comes to just repeating the same things over and over again. Um, it's just this stuff's getting so cheap now. Um, they can get a 16-year-old kid if he's enough skilled and give him some software, and he can probably have Fred Astaire dancing along Paul Abdul singing songs. Actually, they did that, didn't they? Back in the eight, didn't she dance in one of those videos from her first album, or it's the second album. I don't know. I'm pretty sure it was Gene Kelly she danced with. I don't know. It doesn't really matter. She wasn't all that talented anyway. But the point I'm trying to get to is that I think we need to look around and I think we need to see things. And like I said, I'm not a naysayer the world's going to end, but I do see that we have some issues that we need to address, and they're not going to be. It's not going to be prevalent in my lifetime. But I think our children's and definitely our grandchildren's. And I mean, seriously, what do you think actors and singers are going to do? There's nothing they can do that you can't do better in a lab. Seriously. All right, I'm going to throw a funny story. I've actually got some pretty humorous stories in my life. I've done through a lot. I think I'll throw one occasionally out. And this is a story. All my stories are true, by the way. They're not exaggerated. Don't have to exaggerate them. But here's a story I told you. I worked as an engineer, and this was back in probably might have been in the early 2000s, like 25 years ago. I don't know. But I had a I just got through my first divorce, and I was getting ready to go out and meet blind date, and I was working in the North End, right across from the New Boston Garden. And what I was doing, I worked all day, and then there was a shower. I work out, and I showered. Then I was going to go meet this lovely lady in the North End. I forget what restaurant it was. It was a long time ago. And she's a beautiful, beautiful woman, too, by the way. Don't remember her name, but really gorgeous. Anyway, I must have been, no, I must have been in my early 30s at the time. Anyway, I worked out, and I went to the gym. Well, I worked out, then I went to the gym. Went to the gym first, then I worked out. If I worked out before and then I went to the gym, it would be a little weird. So I try not to do that. I try to go to the gym and then I work out, and it seems to work out much better in those circumstances. Anyway, so I went there, and at the time I was having an issue. I don't know what it was, but it might have been like some kind of like a little eye infection. So long ago, I don't know. I don't think it was conjunctivitis. It might have been. I don't remember. Anyway, and I also had a hemorrhoid flare up, so I had some ointment for my eye, and I had no, it wasn't hemorrhoid. I'm sorry. I had a muscle. It might have been the time I had a torn rotator cuff. I had a torn rotator cuff. Anyway, regardless, I had a shoulder injury, and I was using Bengay, and I had an eye infection. Anyway, so I took a shower, and I got up, and I was running a little late, so I was rushing. You should never do that. I should write a video on dates and what you should and should not do. I'm actually pretty good at dating. So I rushed, which you should never do. And I was horrified to find out that I generously applied the Bengay in generous amounts to my eye. Um, and then I never bothered putting the eye ointment on my shoulder. It just didn't seem like it was a worthwhile endeavor. So after I screamed around and jumped like a monkey for about 5-10 minutes, I got my things and went on a date. It was actually a very, very good date for the most part. But let me tell you, um, if you're taking notes, this would you can file this um, under why you should never go to on a first date looking like Quasimodo. You want your eyes inside your head. See if they're popping out. It's not as attractive as if your eyes are actually inside your head. It's kind of startling. But if you have an understanding date like I did, I do explain to her that she's so beautiful that you rushed and you accidentally put Bengay in your eyes because you're so nervous meeting such a beautiful woman that she will understand. And you can put that number asterisk underneath saying how to recover from a date when you go into the date looking like Quasimodo. All right, people, that's it for Reverend Bill today. I'll probably do a part two of Chosen tomorrow because I watched part two, and I will talk to you later. But I would like you to, if you liked this, choose like, share, and subscribe. And if you have any ideas you want me to talk about anything in particular, let me know. If you don't like anything in particular, let me know. I'm still kind of fleshing this whole thing out, trying to change it up. So, like I said, I'm going to start adding some of my anecdotes. I'm actually a very humorous person. Had some crazy experiences in my life. Anyway, thanks for joining me. I'll talk to you later. Bye.